In this video module, you will understand best practices for scaffolding the Grade 10 Cornerstone Task for your struggling learners. The Cornerstone Task Teacher's Guide is found in Module 3A, Political Behaviors and Influences, under Stage 2, Evidence. This guide provides additional steps that students may need in order to successfully demonstrate mastery of transfer. Remember, you may use all additional steps provided in the Teacher Resource Guide or just the ones you feel necessary to differentiate for your particular students. You know your students best, so do what you need to do to scaffold the task to ensure their success. If you choose to utilize any of the resources provided in the Government Cornerstone Task Teacher Resource Guide, you can simply copy and paste the information into the document where you made a copy of the Grade 10 student task sheet prior to assigning it in Google Classroom. That way, students will be able to see that information when they open the assignment in Google Classroom. One of the first scaffolding options provided is in the Instructional Procedures and Anticipatory set at the bottom of page 1 and top of page 2. This offers a guideline for getting students not only familiar with the Cornerstone Task, but also for the content of the Cornerstone Task. So after introducing them to the task, reviewing the purpose, reading the prompt, and reviewing the rubric, you can complete the anticipatory set. In this activity, students will visit websites of major interest groups. We have listed a few major ones here that might be good ones to go over with students. For each site that they visit, have students answer 3 questions. What is the position of the group? What is the group's concerns? And what methods do they use to voice these concerns? This will not only get students familiar with good interest groups, but also with good issues that are covered by major interest groups, which will help them in their research for the Cornerstone Task prompt later. Next, in order to scaffold for learners, students need to conduct their research. They have to pick a topic, an issue, an interest group. It would be very helpful to your struggling learners to brainstorm a list of these issues as a class and then allow your students to pick from the brainstormed list. You may decide to brainstorm a list of issues and then also connect them with the appropriate interest group. This will allow students, especially those struggling learners, a direction to go when they begin their research. Finally, the Teacher's Guide also provides a handout to help focus and guide student research. That handout begins on page 3. The handout provides students with a graphic organizer they can complete while doing their research. They have to cite their source, write the interest group, write the position that interest group takes on the issue, any solutions that interest group may have for solving the issue, and how they plan to accomplish it. You can use the handout given here on page 3 and just copy and paste it for students, or you can alter it for your students' needs. Underneath that, the handout for students is a sample handout that demonstrates for you and possibly for the student, if you choose, how the handout would look after some research was completed. It's also important that you review the rubric with your struggling learners prior to the completion of the task. The rubric does use some advanced language, so it might be prudent to review the rubric with your students and maybe develop more student-friendly language for the rubric that might be easier for students to understand. For additional information about the rubric, you can access the video module related to the scoring of the Cornerstone Task. Finally, with regards to the final product in the Cornerstone Task, let me get up there. The Cornerstone Task allows students to create a final product of their choice so as not to limit them. Or as Jay McTighe says, it allows us to assess understanding and transfer via genuine performance. By providing the students with various product choices, it will help them to, quote, integrate 20th century thinking skills that will allow them the best platform to demonstrate transfer. For lower level learners, you may want to provide them with some examples or a list of product suggestions based on their abilities and comfort using certain technology programs such as Google Docs, Microsoft Word or written reports, Google Slides, PowerPoint, Adobe Spark, and iMovie. Be open to ideas generated by students for the final product. If they come up with an idea to do an infographic, a skit, or other creative final product, be sure to do what you can to encourage and assist students in making their idea work for their final product. Remember, this video module provides some suggestions for you on how to scaffold for your struggling learners. However, that does not mean that you cannot use additional strategies or resources that you create yourself or that you find. You may choose to allow students to work in pairs or small groups. You may choose to do a gallery walk of student final products rather than having students orally present to the whole class. Feel free to do what you need to do to scaffold this task for your struggling learners, but remember that it's imperative that you don't alter the integrity and authenticity of the task. Struggling learners will need additional supports, but you want to ensure that the students are still the ones doing most of the work on their own. If you have any questions regarding scaffolding the Grade 10 Cornerstone Task for struggling learners, you should contact your appropriate content specialist.